cobwebs in the corners. It was Greta's 10th birthday, and she was very excited. Her mother was busy cleaning the old house for her big party. Greta loved cleaning, and she wanted to help. She loved the big buckets of soapy water and funny-looking sponges. She loved the broomsticks and mops and fun-colored detergents. She said, "Let me clean, let me clean." But her mother said, "No, Greta, it's your birthday. Go play instead." But Greta didn't feel like playing. She felt like cleaning. She watched her mother clean. She watched how she scrubbed the wooden floors and washed the filmy windows. She watched how she swept the leaves off the walk and dusted the well-worn furniture. Her mother cleaned and cleaned and cleaned, and Greta watched and watched and watched. "Why don't you sweep the cobwebs way up in the corners?" Greta asked impatiently. "Can't you reach?" "Because," her mother said with a smile, "they keep the ghosts from coming down at night." Greta sneered. "The corners are where they stay," her mother continued, "and through the cobwebs they cannot pass because they'll get all caught up." Greta stared at the cobwebs in disbelief. The drafty old windows caused them to wave gently. It almost seemed as if they were breathing. She got the feeling her grandmother told her mum the same thing when she was Greta's age. When her mother finished cleaning, she took her coat off the peg by the door and turned to Greta. "I won't be long. I'm off to town to pick up your birthday cake." As the door clicked closed and the car pulled out the lane, Greta ran into the kitchen to grab a chair. She decided she would impress her mother and show her that she wasn't scared of ghosts. Greta stood on the chair, and using a long broom, she swept up the cobwebs from every corner of the house. She swept the kitchen and bathroom, the bedrooms and hallways. She even crept down the scary wooden steps that led to the cellar door, and got those cobwebs too. She stretched and stretched and stretched, and swept and swept and swept. Then she dragged the chair back to the kitchen and sat. Greta couldn't wait to see what her mother would say. But when the time for Greta's big party finally came, her mother had not yet returned. She looked at the broom in the corner, its bristles full of cobwebs in a tangled mess. When her little friends came for the party, she kept them busy with games and songs, and then they left. They had found it very strange that Greta's mother wasn't there, and even more odd that there was no cake. Still, Greta waited and waited and waited, and worried and worried and worried. When night came, she was all alone. She waited and watched out the window with her arms folded on the sill as the moon started to rise and the clouds began to drift. The house grew dark and started to make strange noises. It made the sorts of noises old houses make when there's no one else around to hear them. It creaked and snapped and rattled. It sighed and clicked and moaned. Greta glared at the broom and thought about the cobwebs and the corners and what her mother had told her. With the sun down below and the shadows out to play, her mind started to wander. Like a flash, she sprang from room to room, slapping at every light switch in the house until all the rooms were lit. She clapped and stamped and sang just to hear the noise, and then, when she was out of breath, she started to cry. Just then, Greta's mother walked through the door. She couldn't believe her eyes. "I was so worried! Where were you?" Greta cried, as she ran and buried her face in her mother's long coat. "I had trouble with the car. I'm sorry I missed your birthday." But there was no warmth in her mother's embrace. She stood and stood and stood, and stared and stared and stared. "I don't remember how I got here. I just remember all that glass in your cake. Your poor cake." Greta let go. "Oh, look," her mother added with a smile. "You got way up in the corners." Greta froze. The words hung in the air like the hands of a broken clock. "Happy birthday, darling," her mother said. "It's time for bed." Then she turned out the lights and floated up into the corner.